August 3, 1944, 6:40 a.m. near Avranches, France. The morning air smells of wet earth, gasoline, and cordite. Engines idle in uneven rhythms, steel vibrating under the boots of men who haven't slept more than an hour in days. A thin mist hangs over the hedgerows, just enough to blur the horizon. Somewhere ahead, a Sherman revs hard, tracks grinding, eager to move. Then the order comes. Not shouted, not dramatized, just passed down the line with clipped efficiency. Advance. And just like that, the Third Army surges forward. You can almost feel it, the release of tension, the pent-up momentum finally unleashed. Columns of M4 Shermans roll nose to tail, their white stars smeared with mud. Half-tracks bounce over rutted roads. Jeeps race ahead with reconnaissance elements, radios crackling nonstop. This is not a cautious push. This is motion with intent. General George S. Patton is already moving. 200 miles away, inside a stone chateau commandeered as a German headquarters, the mood could not be more different. Maps are spread across long tables. Cigarette smoke coils lazily toward the ceiling. German staff officers lean back in their chairs, boots crossed, coffee cooling untouched. Reports are coming in, fragmented, confused, contradictory, but one phrase keeps appearing. Patton is advancing. A chuckle breaks the silence. Then another. One officer taps the map with the stem of his pipe. Too fast, he says. No supply line can support that pace. Another nods. Reckless, he will outrun his fuel, his artillery, his infantry. They have seen this before, they think. Bold American moves that burn hot and then stall. This one will be no different. The Third Army has only just been activated. Its front is wide. Its flanks are exposed. Patton, in their view, is doing exactly what they expect him to do. And exactly what they believe will destroy him. Back in France, Patton stands in an open command jeep, helmet low, ivory-handled pistols at his hips. Dust coats his boots. His eyes never stop moving. Roads, columns, the sky. He knows something they don't. This is not an advance. It's a pursuit. The German line has been cracked wide open at Normandy. Operation Cobra has torn a hole clean through the Wehrmacht's western defenses. What remains is not a wall, but fragments. Units retreating on instinct, orders lagging behind reality, command structures stretched to the breaking point. Patton intends to keep them that way. He does not pause to consolidate. He does not wait for perfect alignment. He pushes. Recon units surge ahead, sometimes 30, 40 miles in a single day. When they hit resistance, they don't stop. They slide around it. Tanks don't line up for set-piece battles. They bypass strongpoints, leaving confused German garrisons isolated in the rear. Fuel trucks follow at a dangerous distance, drivers pushing engines until they overheat. Mechanics work by flashlight at night, hands black with grease, patching Shermans just enough to keep them moving. Infantry rides tanks, hangs off half-tracks, walks when vehicles break down. It is controlled chaos. And it works. German reports begin to shift in tone. Bridges are gone before demolition, charges can be set. Supply depots are captured intact. Road junctions fall to American units that German commanders didn't even know were nearby. Still, the laughter continues. At higher headquarters, generals reassure themselves with doctrine. No army can move this fast for long. Patton's men will exhaust themselves. His tanks will sit dry on the roadside. Then, the counterstroke will come. But days pass. Then more days. And Patton doesn't slow. By mid-August, Third Army columns are no longer just advancing. They are everywhere. Brittany, the Loire, the approaches to Paris. German units retreat straight into American spearheads they never knew existed. A German regimental commander radios frantically for guidance. His route of withdrawal is blocked. Another unit reports Americans attacking from the rear. Fuel dumps are burning. Communications are failing. At the shadow, maps are being redrawn more often now. Pins are moved, then moved again. Staff officers stop leaning back. Chairs scrape closer to the table. Someone mutters, "This is impossible." Someone else says nothing. Patton's reckless advance is no longer a joke. It's a problem. A dangerous one. Entire German formations are starting to disappear, not destroyed in glorious battle but swallowed whole, cut off, surrounded, starving for fuel and ammunition, fighting blind against an enemy that refuses to behave the way it's supposed to. And the men who laughed first are now asking a different question. If Patton doesn't stop, what happens next? The roads of northern France are a blur of motion. Dust hangs thick in the air, clinging to uniforms and gun barrels. Every mile forward feels like a gamble. An engine could seize, a bridge could collapse, a hidden German tank could ambush the lead Shermans. But Patton doesn't pause. Every hesitation is a chance the enemy might recover. Every delay is a risk he refuses to take. Reconnaissance units dart along secondary roads, radioing coordinates, reporting villages empty or suspiciously reinforced. Jeeps skid through mud, sending plumes into the misty morning. Infantry keeps pace, their boots slapping the ground as tanks rumble behind them. Artillery trucks follow, their cannons cradled like sleeping beasts ready to roar. German soldiers hear the thunder before they see it. From farmhouses, hedgerows, and makeshift roadblocks, they try to mount a defense, but the Americans are already past. Orders from the high command arrive hours, or sometimes days, too late. Radio calls bounce between units, but the messages conflict, sowing confusion. One commander is told to hold a town. Another is told to retreat from the same location. By the time they decide, Third Army units are already inside the village square. M4 Shermans rattling over cobblestones, infantry dismounting, and artillery shelling the roads behind them to trap retreating Germans. You can almost feel the panic setting in. Fuel shortages cripple the German columns first. Tanks grind to a halt on dusty lanes. Truck convoys are ambushed, forcing soldiers to abandon supplies. Officers bark orders, waving maps that have already been made obsolete by Patton's relentless pace. Units intended to cover flanks vanish into the fog, either retreating blindly or surrendering without a fight. Entire battalions are swallowed by the American advance before they even understand what is happening. Patton moves like a conductor of chaos. From his command jeep he watches, calculating. When a gap appears in the enemy's line, he drives straight through it, sending armored columns where the Germans least expect. When a village is lightly held, he flanks it. When a river threatens to halt progress, pontoon bridges are erected overnight. Tanks crossing, while German artillery struggles to adjust. Behind the lines, German generals scramble. Staff officers in avalanches are hunched over maps now, faces tight with tension. One mutters under his breath, "He is everywhere at once, how?" Another slams a fist on the table. No supply, no support. Yet he advances. It's no longer bravado they are mocking, it's fear. They have underestimated a man who thrives on risk, who treats logistics as a challenge to outthink, not a chain to bind him. And in the villages, towns, and open fields, the impact is immediate. Roadblocks meant to slow the Americans are abandoned or overrun. Small towns that German officers thought would be safe rear areas are suddenly battle zones. Communication lines are cut. German units meant to coordinate defenses are isolated, trapped, sometimes surrendering before the Americans even fire a shot. Commanders who laughed at Patton in July are now fighting to figure out which of their forces still exist. Yet amid the chaos, the American soldiers see opportunity. They are trained to exploit it. Artillery moves forward with the tanks. Engineers repair roads under fire. Supply officers risk enemy snipers to keep the advance moving. Every obstacle becomes a chance to go faster, push harder, and widen the gap between Patton's army and the broken German command structure. And then suddenly, a realization hits. Not at Third Army headquarters, not in a command jeep, but inside the German staff rooms. The laughter has stopped entirely. Silence dominates, thick and heavy, broken only by the frantic scribbling of aides attempting to redraw collapsing fronts. Patton isn't reckless, he isn't foolhardy, he is unstoppable. And the enemy is starting to realize. Entire corps are in danger of vanishing before they can regroup. How do you fight an army that refuses to wait for you? By mid-August, the map of northern France looks nothing like the German high command expects. Patton's columns are no longer pushing through gaps, they are closing them, turning the holes in the front into traps. Entire German units are isolated, caught between advancing American spearheads and the fractured remnants of their own retreating forces. The chaos isn't random, it's orchestrated with lethal precision. In a shattered farmhouse outside Le Mans, Oberstleutnant Heinrich Müller stares at his radio. Reports are streaming in from every direction, tank units cut off, supply trucks abandoned, infantry scattered. He tries to call command for orders. Static, conflicting coordinates. Rückzug impossible, he mutters. Retreat. It's too late. Patton's advance has already defined the battlefield. On the American side, Patton moves like a predator sensing panic. From his jeep, he watches the horizon. Dust clouds mark the movement of armored columns. Infantry rides pillboxes, skirmishing when necessary, always forward. Artillery hammers strategic intersections to prevent German regrouping. Engineers repair roads on the fly, bridging rivers faster than the enemy can react. Every checkpoint, every village seized, every bridge captured widens the trap. The German soldiers trapped inside these encirclements face the impossible. Food runs out. Ammunition dwindles. Fuel is gone. The radios that once carried orders from the high command now only carry confusion. Soldiers who were once confident, even arrogant, are forced to surrender or fight without direction. Officers shout orders that can't be executed. Tanks sit idle while American Shermans roll past, flanking, bypassing, striking in waves. You can almost hear the panic building. Boots pounding dirt, engines roaring, the cries of men trying to regroup. Yet everywhere they turn, the Americans are already there. Behind them, Allied artillery covers every escape route. Ahead, tanks move in wedge formation, cutting paths the Germans thought were safe. And yet, Patton doesn't slow. His objective isn't just to advance, it's to annihilate the cohesion of the enemy. Every maneuver, every calculated risk, every relentless push is designed to turn fear into paralysis. German generals, once amused by his audacity, now find themselves powerless, watching entire corps crumble without understanding how. By the time night falls, the consequences are clear. Whole regiments vanish into the mist, trapped between two American columns. Roads that were supposed to be escape routes are blocked. Bridges that were supposed to allow retreat have been captured or destroyed. The German high command can only watch as their carefully constructed defenses dissolve into dust, their units swallowed by the relentless advance. Patton's reckless push has become a masterclass in operational mobility. His men are exhausted but driven. Engineers work under searchlights to repair bridges. Tank crews maintain speed even when fatigued. Infantry advances on foot where vehicles cannot go, cutting the enemy off entirely. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to tighten the noose. And somewhere in the German command rooms, the word spreads silently from officer to officer. This isn't just an advance. This is a collapse. Entire divisions are in danger of disappearing. Entire fronts are unraveling. And the question looms over the high command: can they even stop him? August 14, 1944. The sun barely rises over the rolling hills of Normandy, but already the rumble of engines echoes across the countryside. Dust and smoke cling to the morning air like a curtain. Villages that had been quiet the day before are now battlefield hubs, burning supply trucks, overturned tanks, abandoned rifles scattered like fallen leaves. The Third Army has moved faster than anyone thought possible. Inside a commandeered shaidow near Le Mans, German generals stare at maps smeared with chalk and ink, faces pale and drawn. Orders from Berlin are late, contradictory, impossible. Oberstleutnant Müller's voice trembles as he repeats reports to a stunned staff. Corps cut off. Entire corps missing. The laughter from weeks ago has vanished completely. Now there is only fear. Back in the field, Patton rides at the head of a column of M4 Shermans. Mud caked on the treads, dust on their armored hulls, engines growl like beasts. Infantry rides the tanks where possible, dismounting only when they need to clear villages. Engineers keep pace, repairing bridges under sporadic sniper fire. Artillery lumbers behind, firing with precision on any roads the Germans could use for escape. It is chaos for the enemy but perfect orchestration for the Americans. Patton's staff reports every breakthrough, every abandoned position. Supply lines are stretched thin, but never broken. Every tank, every soldier, every truck moves with a purpose. German units stumble into the trap. Attempted withdrawals fail as roads are blocked, towns are occupied, and communications are cut. Soldiers surrender in confusion, outnumbered and exhausted. The reckless advance that staff officers once mocked has turned into a nightmare. Entire formations vanish before the generals can even understand what's happening. And yet the Americans press on. Patton doesn't give the enemy a chance to breathe. He knows that hesitation, even a single day, could allow the Germans to reorganize. Columns that had been isolated are crushed or captured. Artillery finds them no matter how far they try to flee. Supplies meant to reinforce them never arrive. Patton's men know their role, push forward relentlessly. Tanks cut through hedgerows, infantry sweeps through villages, engineers repair roads for the next wave. The army moves as one, a living, breathing force that the German command cannot predict or contain. By nightfall, entire German corps are effectively destroyed, not in spectacular battles, but through speed, coordination, and unyielding pressure. Officers who once laughed at Patton are left staring at reports, questioning every assumption. In the midst of it, a message reaches the shade now. Third Army has crossed the Loire, enemy lines collapsing, fuel exhausted, units encircled. Silence follows. Then quietly one officer whispers almost to himself, "This cannot be stopped." Patton's reckless advance has done more than surprise the enemy. It has shattered their command, destroyed their formations, and rewritten the battlefield in a matter of days. And the final blow, it is coming tomorrow. The Germans have no idea what is about to hit them next. August 16, 1944. The sun rises over a landscape that is both eerily quiet and violently scarred. Burned-out vehicles litter the countryside. Craters pockmark once smooth roads. The smell of smoke, mud, and spilled fuel hangs heavy in the air. Third Army units have moved so fast that even the countryside seems shocked. Trees are shattered, hedgerows flattened, villages partially abandoned by fleeing Germans. For the German High Command, it is the moment of reckoning. Oberstleutnant Müller and his colleagues sit around maps now smeared with red pencil. Units that had been ordered to regroup are gone. Columns that should have blocked Patton's advance are cut off. Fuel depots, once thought safe, are in American hands. Communications that were supposed to coordinate defense are useless. Entire divisions have vanished into Patton's wake. Across the Third Army, soldiers barely register the destruction around them. There is no time to marvel. The momentum must be maintained. Patton's philosophy is clear. Speed and pressure create confusion, and confusion destroys the enemy faster than any artillery barrage. Officers report victories, but the real success is measured in gaps widened, enemy formations dissolved, and morale shattered. German soldiers surrender in droves, often confused about where they are or why they are fighting at all. Tanks that were meant to hold the front line sit idle or abandoned, outmaneuvered by an American army that refuses to pause. Patton himself surveys the aftermath with a measured gaze. He does not celebrate. He notes logistics, potential vulnerabilities, and the next objective. To him, victory is a moving target. To the enemy, it feels unstoppable. And the lessons are brutal. German generals, once confident in their strategy, now face a stark reality. Boldness, speed, and decisiveness can outmatch even well-trained units, superior weaponry, and carefully laid defensive plans. They laughed at Patton, mocked his audacity, and assumed his reckless behavior would collapse. Instead, the collapse was theirs. By the end of the month, Third Army has carved a path hundreds of miles long, capturing towns, securing bridges, and disrupting supply lines with precision. Patton's advance is no longer reckless, it is legendary. And every German commander who doubted him has a new understanding. You cannot predict Patton. You cannot contain him. You cannot outrun him. The battlefield in France will never forget the lessons of those few relentless weeks. Laughter turned to panic. Mockery became fear. Chaos became defeat. And at the center of it all rode a general who understood one fundamental truth: speed and audacity win wars that caution cannot. As the Third Army presses forward, the question lingers over every shattered German command post. What happens when an enemy refuses to wait, refuses to hesitate, and refuses to stop? The answer history will remember. End